Verifying digital transactions using cryptocurrency is a process called cryptocurrency mining. Now, this process uses a large amount of electricity, and some residents where these mines are located are not happy about it.
In the latest CBSN Original, Errol Barnett visits the small town of Wenatchee in Washington State, where the crypto mining industry is dividing the town.
Mining machines burn through transactions as fast as possible, so powering them and even cooling them down is half the game.
Now you see all the plugs, all the outlets. How much power does this facility use compared to like a typical building?
Well, so our pods use 1.5 megawatts. That's typically associated with like 600 homes.
So just this one facility is sucking up as much energy as 6 homes.
Right here in this space.
I mean, that's incredible when you think about it.
Yeah.
While some in Wenatchee are excited by the economic potential of cryptocurrency mining, concern over its massive power consumption and other risks is making many uneasy.
It just seems like it came out of nowhere, like there's a lack of understanding about it.
But maybe they just don't like the change, you know, because they like to keep this town small.
My wife's in the technology space, and as much as she talks about it, it's still a mystery to me.
Nobody wants a fire, you know, like their apartment complex burning down because someone's mining Bitcoin.
Right.
It's just going to drain our power, and that's really all I know.
Right.
I think it's just people complaining and not actually understanding what they're complaining about.
Joining us now is Errol Barnett, a CBS News correspondent and the correspondent on this new original. Welcome.
Hey there, guys. Good to see you.
So this is really, really fascinating stuff. How are some people in this town feeling about this new form of mining?
Well, you saw Pam there at the ice cream shop, which has existed in Wenatchee for about 100 years. She, like many others, is fearful that it will just suck up the cheap electricity they have. They sit on the Columbia River. There's very cheap power there. And they don't know what cryptocurrency is, let alone the mining, the operation which verifies transaction and is built on blockchain technology. They don't really understand or see why or how it will benefit them. So most people are suspicious, they're curious, they've seen these large shipping containers show up in town, they're listening to them and they have a large hum sound, and they've also seen fires get started and ignited because someone is mining at home, using up a lot of electricity, overheating the grid. And you know how dangerous fires are all along up and down the West Coast. So there's a controversy and tension in many places like Wenatchee.
So when I think about mining, I just think about sort of that single computer at home. Is this basically a big facility of hundreds and hundreds of computers working away? So then when I think of my computer, when it overheats, that fan gets going.
Exactly.
And it's pretty loud. But do they think that their utility doesn't have enough to feed them and also feed these plants? I don't understand why they think it's going to affect their utility bill.
This is the middle ground and the debate. The power company in Wenatchee and in many places, in Canada for example, what they say is, well, perhaps we can charge you a different rate if you're mining and you're using an industrial amount of electricity. That will allow us to keep our residential customers at the same level. Washington State and this region in Wenatchee, they produce more electricity than they can use. So they sell it all up and down the West Coast. The fear is if they have less to sell, if they're using more of their electricity, they then have to charge a higher rate. And it's already happened in places like Plattsburgh in upstate New York. The mayor there allowed mining companies to come in, mine for Bitcoin, create a local economy, and then residents saw their electric bills jump in some cases by $100. And now Plattsburgh is the only place in the US, or the first place in the US, to ban crypto mining. But then I mentioned Canada. Canada's got its arms wide open. It's got tons of cheap hydroelectric power. They're inviting people to come in as long as they pay a different rate. So it's a new frontier, and there is a debate about, should we let people in? If so, how much should we charge them, and what is the real benefit long term in many of these towns?
You know, one of the really cool things about these CBSN Originals is you get an opportunity to do a deep dive, generally in subjects that people aren't really paying attention to. What did you learn that you didn't know before you took on this assignment?
Just about everything.
I was going to say, right, because a lot of people don't know a lot about cryptocurrency. No. The really, like, I think cool thing about it is that we find these subjects or these stories that are sort of under the radar, and even they are under the radar for us, and we're supposed to be read in on sort of everything that's happening.
I mean, I will give you this headline. What I knew was the fluctuating price of Bitcoin and cryptocurrency, which continues to be a speculative type of thing. This is something different. The underlying technology called blockchain is like a digital receipt that cannot be edited and exists on the network, so it doesn't exist in one place. Proponents of this say that's the future. We don't even know and understand the many different ways that blockchain technology will change our lives. One example, let's say you love to buy organic fruit and foods at the grocery store. We see stickers and labels, but how do we know it's truly organic? Well, with blockchain technology, these digital, uneditable receipts, you could scan the barcode on your fruit, and it would tell you exactly where it came from, how it was transported to you, and that it was in fact, an organic product, and perhaps something that's not been infused with all sorts of hormones and the like. That's one example. Another example could be banking, could be housing, could be any transaction where you want to verify that what you're getting is what it says it is. The proponents of blockchain say is the future. And supercomputing, artificial intelligence, they all need this type of framework. And some of the folks that you'll see in the documentary that we speak to after the piece, some of the experts, they say it's a national security issue because China, Russia, and other powerful countries around the world are investing in this infrastructure and in this technology. If the U.S. doesn't get in now, it will be left behind. So it's a brand new frontier, and people's opinions are still being formed.
And really you are exploring it. Errol Barnett, thank you so much, man. That's really cool.
Great to see you guys.
You can stream Cryptocurrency, Virtual Money, Real Power Sunday on CBSNews.com and watch it live at 8 Eastern on CBSN.